Hey, hey, hey. I'm your humble host, Fizz Music, and this right here, this is Urban Politics. I want to thank you all for liking and subscribing as you do. Please, as soon as you have a chance, take a little cell phone over to YouTube right after this video and like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Fizz Music, Urban Politics. Without further ado, though, I want to get right into it like a car and drive, ladies and gentlemen. There's a ton, right, of tasty and delicious politics to sink our teeth into. What I'm going to start with? Well, I got some notes here, of course, like I always do. What do I want to start with? First of all, excuse me, there's a movie, I think it has Dustin Hoffman or something. I meant to look it up before I did the show, but I haven't. If you haven't never heard of this movie, it's called Wag the Dog. Go check it out. It's a great movie, but the whole movie is about how people in government, some presidents sometimes, when they're trying to do certain things, right, they have to have a diversion. They have to have something else for you to look at, right? Squirrel, like a dog, you gotta, you gotta have something to look at over here. Please don't look at all the corrupt stuff I got going on over here. Same thing going on with your boy Trump. So, you know what I'm saying? This war with Iran is a diversion. People was tripping. They were talking about, now I'm just thinking about some things that are coming to mind I ain't even got in my notes. But I do remember when all this was going on, and I'm not going to lie, for a hot second there, I got scared myself. Because I was like, hold up. Could we really be going to war with Iran? Because people were talking about, they were showing like TikTok videos and such of how people were like, they were talking about how they were getting lobster and steak or whatever, and they were saying that was like an indication that they were going to war, might die, might not be coming back, so we wanted to give them a good last meal as they was getting sent off. So I saw that. Then that reel would go away, and I'd see another reel of a young lady talking about how all this is nothing but a diversion because all of those sites that he hit, it's been known for months that there's nobody in those sites. They've been evacuated for a while, so it was kind of all just for show. Then I'm watching the news, and they say some stuff about 20 scientists were killed and some other people were killed, but it's nowhere near the damage that Trump was talking. Trump is on there talking about it was obliterated. It was obliterated. I mean, that's what we're going to do. I knew that was a lie. But all of it is just a distraction. That's all it is. Because while you and me are looking at this war that we may or may not be going to with Iran, we're distracted from what? The unlawful deportations that this guy's been doing. It's great that these unlawful deportations have been stopped by federal judges and federal governments, the federal government, federal judges. Not his. The federal government is Trump's. Federal judges have been stopping these unlawful deportations because he's getting rid of habeas corpus, and that's the right of everybody to have a trial, you know what I'm saying, before they're just sentenced to whatever. So he's been doing that, and even though a lot of these federal judges, they knock it down, they're like, nah, you can't do that. Then he drags his feet about getting these people back to where they're supposed to be. So that's also a part of this. So there's that. Illegal gifts from foreign countries, like the gold plane that he got from Qatar. You ain't even thinking about that no more. Nobody's thinking about that no more because we was almost at war with Iran, right? This guy is he's a wily cat is what he is. Because think about that. You're not even thinking about that anymore. This guy took a $400,000 gold plane from a state that sponsors terrorism. Oh my Lord. And no one's even talking about it no more. Because he made you think that we were going to war with Iran, right? His Bitcoin, anybody talking about that? He is fleecing stupid, poor Americans into investing in buying this Bitcoin that's really worth nothing. They say that's worth nothing. It's worth something if you think it's worth something, but it ain't worth nothing like in real life. Like, a dollar is supposed to be backed by a gold bar. Yeah, Bitcoin ain't worth backed by nothing. It's nothing. So he's getting rich off of garbage that he's selling to his people who are too ignorant to know that they're buying a bunch of garbage. There's that. They don't want you thinking about that. Comes out that Elon did mess with the machines. And that he did rig the election for Trump to win it. This is common knowledge, ladies and gentlemen. You can go Google it, should you care to. But guess what? No one is thinking about that. You scared about us going to war with Iran. You can't think about how this guy conspired with a computer genius. I get that to Elon because he didn't friggin' rig the election that we just had. So there's that. And they said that was hard to do, but he did it. But Trump told us how he did it, right? He said he went down to Pennsylvania and he messed with those machines, and lo and behold, I'm president. And he knows those machines better than anyone. These are Trump quotes. So there's that. And that's common, like I said, you can go Google this, ladies and gentlemen. It's common knowledge, but no one's talking about that. You talking about this war that we may or may not be at with Iran, because we're not at no war with Iran, and he knows that anyway. It's craziness. First of all, how about this? Elon saying that Trump is in the Epstein files. Now that's the thing. Here's the thing. We all know that. Everybody know that. That's common knowledge. Everybody knew that Trump was in the Epstein files when he talked about all these other files that he would release. But then when it came to the Epstein files, he's like, don't want to ruin people's lives or whatever from what's in there because it may be misinformation. Blah blah blah. Blah. Yeah, ruin your life because you in there, and it ain't no misinformation. You and Epstein was doing all types of nasty little stuff together. So there's that, right? But we already knew that. But for Elon Musk to come out and say that and say it while he was mad at Trump, and then come back later on and say, "Ooh, I apologize," and he's gonna say in that this Twitter war had went a bit too far. You know what I'm saying? That's what he said. It went too far. Why would Elon say that? Because what he said was true. He done seen them files, and he done seen Trump's name all up in that file related to Mr. Epstein. So come on now. But you ain't talking about that. You talking about how we may or may not be at war with Iran. We're not. We won't be. You talking about how we may or may not be at war with Iran, right? Anyway, moving on. Did you hear about the protests going on all over America? It actually renews my spirit in humanity. It renews my spirit in America. A lot of times I get to walking around here, I get to talking to people. I think nobody's paying attention. Ain't nobody watching this garbage but me, and we got the democracy going to hell in a handbasket. We have to lose our rights. We're losing everything. No one's paying attention. Lo and behold, everybody's paying attention. And I love it. I love it. The involvement, the political involvement from our common man and woman, right? So there was the No Kings protest all over America. It would be easier for me to tell you where they weren't than to tell you where they were. They were everywhere. Listen, it was a response to Trump's military parade. That military parade was the same day as his birthday. It was pathetic. If you ain't seen that, go on and Google that. Put that in YouTube. You know, Trump's military day parade or Trump's parade or any of that garbage. It'll come up. It's sad. People have seen it, the squeaky tank, all that stuff. We don't do that type of stuff here. They do that type of stuff in North Korea and other places where they've been taught and conditioned, right, to love their dictator. In North Korea, there are people who love Kim Jong-un. I'm saying that right. Kim Jong-un, they love him. But they've been taught since little kids to love him, to love his father, to love his bloodline, to love the dictator. That's not going on here in America. Because we had forefathers who came from that and they didn't want that no more. So that's specifically not going on in this country. Trump don't get that. And he wants to be that dude. One, you can't be that dude overnight. Two, you don't do that. You don't become that dude through military parades. This is a guy who wants love from everybody, but don't know how do you get love. And you don't get love from being anyway. So moving on, there's that. The same day as his birthday, so that parade was kind of a birthday parade for him, which a lot of Americans took issue with. I took issue with because we all paid for that. We paid for that lame parade with that lame squeaky tank. We paid for that just because he wanted it on his birthday. How pathetic. We got people living in boxes. This guy wants to throw a military parade. Anyway, it costs us, I think, millions of dollars, if not billions of dollars. Anyway, moving on. 5 million people came out to peaceably protest at 2,100 No Kings events all over the states of America. Yeah. And some were even held outside of America. So you got foreign places that were having No Kings events. And that right there is really just the American people coming together and saying, I think with a megaphone, that nah, we don't want that. That's the reason why this democratic experiment was even created or even started. Because there were some guys who ran away from a king and they said, we don't want that. We don't want a dictatorship. We don't want one guy controlling everything. We need to have this democratic experiment. Let's see what it looks like when we have a government for the people, of the people, by the people. Now I say all that being a black people. So I don't know more than anybody. America ain't really lived up to, you know what I'm saying, it's promise, right? Slavery and all that other stuff. But my point being, The overall principle was what? All men created equal. All men had equal justice under the law. You know, does that happen? Not all the time, but guess what? Let's take a shot at it. And the president should not be above anybody. Now, we got a stupid Supreme Court that put out a ruling saying that the president was above the law if he was acting in official powers or whatever as a president. That was stupid. And then they turn around and be surprised when he has no problem arresting federal judges. The next thing he'll do is arrest, Supreme Court judges. We ain't got there yet, but it's coming. John Roberts, you the one who put out that ruling like an idiot. Talking about the president is above the law. Now you're surprised that he lets you know he's comfortable arresting you because you just gave him carte blanche. Anyway, moving on. There's that. Let's talk about Africa. Mother Africa. The South African court rules that white genocide claims is imaginary. I agree with that. White people claiming that there's genocide. Only thing that's going on in South Africa is something interesting. It's flipped. In South Africa, the black people have the majority. White people are the minority. So they're being treated like a minority. That tickles me. Because where else on the planet would you see that? But think about that. You have a place where black people are everywhere. They run everything. Side note. Years ago, I used to work with a Spanish young lady. She might even still watch the show. Her name is Julie. That's what I'm saying. Her name is Julie. Good friend of mine. Love her to pieces. And she told me, she said, Eddie, I don't even know too many black people. She said, where I'm from, and she was from Corpus Christi, Texas. And that's what she told me. She said, Eddie, where I'm from, everyone is Mexican like me. Everyone is Spanish. She said the doctors, the lawyers, the cab drivers, everyone's Mexican like me. She said there was one black family in my town, and unfortunately they were very cliche, always into drama and always into crime and all that other type of stuff. But she said she didn't really know any black people besides me. That's interesting, ain't it? Think about that. She came from a place where everybody looked like her, where everybody who did everything looked like her, who ran everything looked like her. So that's what's going on in South Africa, right? You have a majority that's black and a minority that's white. And this minority that's white is feeling the pressure. Oh, wow. What must that be like? Please tell me of your struggles, white Afrikaners. That's funny to me. I'm sorry, because where else would you see that? But that's what's going on, and I like to see that finally going on in Africa. Only thing that messed Africa up is letting in Europeans and French people and all them other people come in to colonize them. And it's because they wanted the money, but they messed up because, you know what I'm saying, all money ain't good money, and that was bad money that they was throwing at them. And now that they got hip and kicked a lot of them out, I'll post some stuff all the time. What's Burkina Faso? Is that the place where, my man that paid all their debts to Europeans and the French people or whatever and told them to get out of the country? Now they're doing things for themselves, got their own economy, enriching their own people with their own resources and minerals. Perfect. I went on record in this show with saying that Africa don't need nobody. Everybody need Africa. Africa don't need nobody. So I like the fact that a lot of these brothers in Africa are waking up to that. They're waking up to the fact that you live in a place that is the mother of civilization. You don't need no help from nobody. So stop having these come in and take advantage of you because you want their money when you really don't need it. You got your own resources, right? So that's awesome. But that's what's going on there. And it blows me away how many people are threatened by that. Black and white. You have some black people who are threatened at the thought of Africa gaining independence from white folk. I don't get that. That blows me away. If somebody can understand that, go on and drop me a comment and let me know. I don't get that. I don't get that at all. If anything, why would you not applaud that as a black person? Because like I said, Africa for years hasn't needed anything from the world, and the world has done nothing but suck off of Africa. So why would you be mad that they're gaining some independence as a black person? I don't know. But like I said, if you can explain that in the comments, please do, because you're in the pushback zone, right? Anyway, moving on. Last thing I want to talk about is what a young lady was talking about. I was looking at some type of reel or something, and in the comments, this was a sister, and she said, I know that you're dismayed at what you're seeing, like I am too, but take heart. She was saying that the midterms are coming. I'm paraphrasing, ladies and gentlemen. The midterms are coming. 435 seats in the House will be in play. 33 seats in the Senate, which is 13 Republicans and 20 Democrats. And then she said too, all politics is local. I go on record as saying that on this show all the time. All politics is local. If you want to see things change, you can start right where you're at. Who's your mayor, right? Who's your you know what I'm saying? Who's your governor, right? Make sure that you're voting for governors who have your interests. Make sure you're voting for a mayor who has your interests. Make sure you're voting for an ombudsman who has your interests. All politics is local. That's where you start, ladies and gentlemen. You start at home. Now, everybody gets into politics, right, when it's the horse race. That's what a guy used to work with. Oh my God, I can't remember his name. This guy was amazing. But as he used to call it, the horse race. He said people only care about politics when it's the horse race. You know, the horse race is the presidential race. That's the only time people get involved in politics, and that's ridiculous. And I've said that on this show before, I'm going to say it again. Stop doing that, ladies and gentlemen. We need to get involved and interested in politics when it's going on at your gate, because that's where it's at, right? I told people all the time when Barack Obama was president, it doesn't help him, you know, to be a Democratic president, but all his, governors are Republican. That don't help him. When all the people in the House are Republican, that don't help him. When all the people in the Senate are Republican, it don't help him. That don't help him, right? So even this next go around, and they're predicting it'll probably be a Democrat, because that's what this country does. That's what this country does. You know what I'm saying? We'll have a Republican. Oh, things are bad. We need a Democrat to help. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So, well, no, actually, we'll have a Democrat. Things are going good. And then, let's elect a Republican. We're doing good. Things are going bad with this Republican. Man, what the heck? Man, we need a, or, you know. I'm messing up. Things are going bad with this Democrat. We need a Republican. I messed it up again. Things are going bad with this Republican. We need a Democrat. Oh, things are going up with the Democrat. And then, things are going good. You know, we could do a Republican president. Oh, and then we go down again. So we do this all the time, ladies and gentlemen. And my point is, we could get off of this roller coaster if people would take a little bit of time to pay attention to this thing called politics. Now, I get it. I'm a political nerd. I get into it a whole lot, right? But you should try to get into it a little bit. You know why? Because it affects your daily life. A friend of mine, my man Don, he used to always tell me, he said, Eddie, man, everybody watching Hollywood, and he be watching Washington Wood. Exactly, because that's what really affects your life. You sitting here watching, L.A. Wives and Baddies and all that other garbage that I know y'all be watching. And really, man, we have people who are pushing legislation that literally will affect you and your children's future. So that is something that you should care at least 30 minutes about a day. My God, you know what I'm saying? I mean, if you don't know anything, that's a problem. And I always say it all the time. I don't think people of color or black people or anybody else, I really don't think anybody has the luxury of being tuned out, especially these days with the democracy being taken away from us in one full swoop. But if you are a person of color and you're not paying attention, well, God help you. And I guess you get what you deserve, right? Because people who don't pay attention to their government get the government they deserve because they wasn't paying attention. Kind of where we're at. Anyway, guess what? I'm done. I want to thank you all for liking and subscribing as you do. Please, as soon as you have a chance, take a little cell phone over to YouTube. Like and subscribe. Phys Ed Music, Urban Politics. But you know what I'm saying? As always, I'm going to see you around like a donut.